They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but what they don't tell you is that sometimes revenge serves itself. 2 days before what was supposed to be our healing family road trip, my stepfather's fist connected with my face, hard, right under the dashcam I'd installed 3 weeks earlier, the same dashcam he didn't know existed, the same dashcam that had been recording everything for 21 days straight. My mother watched from the porch, arms crossed, face blank. She didn't scream, didn't gasp, just stared with those cold, lifeless eyes and said the words that would haunt me. "You brought this on yourself, Ava." I thought that was my rock bottom. Then I found the backup SD card, and everything I thought I knew about my family, about loyalty, about silence, about the lies we tell to survive, shattered in an instant. Because Kurt's confession wasn't just about hitting me, it was about the warehouse fire, the insurance fraud, the money he'd been laundering through fake business accounts for the past 3 years, the reason my father's business partner disappeared, the reason our town's largest employer went up in flames, leaving 114 people without jobs. All of it, on camera, in his own words. Now I'm sitting in my car, phone in one hand, mouse hovering over the Share Publicly button with the other. 10 years of silence, 10 years of swallowing rage, 10 years of being told I was the problem. One click and the entire town hears the truth. But here's the thing about revenge. Once you press that button, there's no going back. My name is Ava Mercer, and this is how I burned my family to the ground.
Let me rewind 6 months, because none of this makes sense without understanding how deep the rot actually went. I'm 28 years old, living in my mother's basement like some kind of failure to launch cliche, working help desk support for North Star Technologies. 12-hour shifts, troubleshooting server crashes, resetting passwords, explaining to boomers why their email isn't broken, it's just in the spam folder. Not exactly the life I imagined when I graduated with a degree in cybersecurity. But that's what happens when your stepfather systematically destroys every opportunity you get. Every job offer mysteriously falls through, every apartment application gets denied, every chance at independence somehow crumbles right when you're about to grab it. Kurt Halden moved into our lives when I was 17. My real father had died 2 years earlier, heart attack at 43, sudden and brutal. Mom was lost, vulnerable, and Kurt was charming at first. He owned a small construction company, drove a lifted truck, always had cash in his wallet and a joke ready. He made my mother laugh again, and for a grieving teenager, that felt like enough reason to accept him. I was wrong. By the time I turned 18, the mask had slipped. The jokes became jabs. The charm became control. He monitored my phone, questioned my friends, made snide comments about my weight, my clothes, my grades. But it was subtle. Death by 1,000 cuts. The kind of abuse that doesn't leave bruises you can photograph. My mother? She transformed. The warm, fierce woman who'd raised me alone after Dad died became this hollow shell. She stopped defending me, stopped seeing me, started parroting Kurt's criticisms like they were facts. "You're too sensitive, Ava. You're imagining things, Ava. If you just tried harder, Ava." Gaslighting wrapped in motherly concern. So I stayed quiet, stayed small, told myself it was temporary, that I'd save money, move out, start fresh. That became the mantra. Just a few more months, just until I save enough, just until I can escape. But Kurt was smarter than I gave him credit for. Every time I got close to leaving, something would happen. A mysterious car accident that drained my savings, a borrowed credit card that appeared in collections under my name, a sudden family emergency that required my paycheck. It was systematic, calculated, designed to keep me trapped. And it worked. For 10 years, it worked. Until that night 3 weeks before the beating, the night I was driving home late from a double shift and witnessed something I wasn't supposed to see. Kurt's truck parked behind the old Riverside warehouse district at 2:47 a.m., meeting with two men I recognized from the news. Local crime reports, arson investigations, insurance fraud. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I should have driven away, should have pretended I saw nothing, but something in me snapped. Instead, I ordered a Dashcam on Amazon Prime, installed it the next morning while Kurt was at work, angled it perfectly to capture the driver's seat and everything in the driveway. HD video, crystal clear audio, automatic cloud backup every 24 hours. I told myself it was just for protection, evidence in case things escalated, a safety net. I had no idea I was about to record a confession that would unravel everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because first I need to tell you about the loan papers and the moment everything went from bad to unforgivable.
12-hour shift. Server crashes, angry customers screaming about lost data. I walked through the door at 11:47 p.m., exhausted down to my bones, dreaming of my bed. Kurt was sprawled across the couch like a king surveying his domain. Beer cans, cologne thick enough to choke on, and papers, so many papers scattered across the coffee table like confetti from hell. "'Bout time," he grunted, not looking away from the TV. "Need you to look at something." I recognized the forms immediately. Refinancing documents, home equity loans, and there, gleaming like a snake in the grass, an RV loan application for $85,000. My stomach dropped. "Sign here, here, and initial there." He pushed a pen toward me like he was asking me to pass the salt. "Got us approved for the whole package. Your credit score finally worth something." Us. Like this was a partnership, like I had any say. Behind us, my mother stood at the sink, scrubbing the same plate for the third time, her spine rigid, her silence deafening. She knew. Of course she knew. "I'm not signing anything, Kurt." The air in the room changed. His head swiveled toward me, jaw working, eyes narrowing into slits. "Come again?" I said no, I'm not co-signing your loans. The laugh that came out of him had no humor, just menace. "Your loans? That's cute, Ava, real cute. This is our house, our family, our future. It's Mom's house. Dad left it to her, and I'm not putting my name on an $85,000 RV loan so you can play retired trucker while I'm stuck paying it off." I watched his face turn colors, red to purple, his fists clenched. "You ungrateful little..." He stood up, all 6'2" of him looming over me. "After everything I've done for you, roof over your head, food on the table, that's literally the legal minimum for a parent. I'm not your parent, and maybe it's time you remembered that." The words hung there, sharp and cruel. My mother finally turned from the sink. For a split second, I thought she'd defend me, say something, anything. Instead, "Ava, just sign the papers. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Something inside me fractured. Make this harder? Mom, he's trying to steal my credit for a luxury RV I'll never see, while I work 60-hour weeks to pay off debt he's racking up. How is that making things harder? Kurt stepped closer. I could smell the beer on his breath. "You think you're so smart, don't you? Little computer girl with her big ideas. Let me explain reality to you." He jabbed a finger into my shoulder, hard. "Your mother and I are taking this trip, rekindling our marriage, building our future, and you will sign these papers, because if you don't..." "If I don't, what? You'll hit me?" The words came out before I could stop them. Reckless, stupid, true. His eyes went dead cold. "Careful, Ava." My mother's voice, quiet but firm. "Sign the papers, honey. It's easier this way." Easier? For who? I looked at the forms, at Kurt's predatory grin, at my mother's turned back, and I said the word that changed everything. No. Kurt's hand moved so fast I barely registered it. But the Dashcam? The Dashcam caught everything.
2 days, Kurt hissed. "That's all the time you've got. 2 days to come to your senses, sign the papers, and stop acting like a selfish brat. I should have apologized, should have de-escalated. 10 years of survival instincts screaming at me to back down, make myself small, disappear. But I was done shrinking. I'm not signing anything, ever. Find another cosigner. The backhand came out of nowhere. My head snapped to the side, cheek exploding in fire, the metallic taste of blood flooding my mouth. I stumbled backward into the doorframe, vision blurring. "Kurt!" My mother's voice, finally. But not shocked, not horrified, just annoyed, like he'd spilled milk. He didn't stop. His hand closed around my shirt, jerking me forward. "You think you can disrespect me in my own house? You think you call the shots here?" Another hit. Closed fist this time, right under my eye. I heard something crack, felt warmth dripping down my face. "You're nothing, Ava, a leech, a parasite living off our generosity, and you've got the nerve, the audacity to tell me no?" He shoved me hard. I crashed into the wall, photos rattling in their frames. My father's face stared down at me from one of them, smiling, alive, from before everything went to hell. I wonder what he'd think if he could see this. Kurt leaned in close, his breath hot and rancid. 2 days. Think real hard about your future, about where you'll go when I kick you out with nothing. No references, no money, no one to save you. He released me, and I crumpled to the floor. My mother finally moved, but not toward me, toward him. She placed a hand on his arm, gentle, calming. "Kurt, honey, let's go to bed. She needs time to think." He straightened his shirt, ran a hand through his hair like he'd just finished a workout instead of beating his stepdaughter. 2 days, Ava, clock's ticking. They walked upstairs together, her hand in his, like I wasn't bleeding on the floor, like this was normal, expected, justified. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes? Hours? Eventually, I pulled myself up, stumbled to the bathroom, stared at my reflection in the mirror, swollen eye already turning purple, split lip, blood crusted on my chin. "You brought this on yourself." That's what she'd say if I confronted her. That's what she always said. My phone buzzed. Text from my coworker Jenna. "You okay? You seemed stressed today." I stared at the message, fingers hovering over the keyboard. What would I even say? "Hey, just got beaten by my stepdad for refusing to co-sign a loan. Normal Tuesday, how are you?" Instead, I typed, "I'm fine, just tired." I splashed cold water on my face, winced at the sting. And then I remembered. The dashcam. My car was parked directly in front of the living room window, angled perfectly toward the porch, with a wide enough lens to catch the interior through the open door. My heart started pounding. I grabbed my keys and ran outside. The night air bit at my skin as I yanked open the car door and checked the camera. Recording. Active. Storage. 87% full. Last upload 43 minutes ago. I pulled up the app on my phone, scrolled to tonight's footage, and there it was. Every word, every hit, every moment of my mother standing there, watching, doing nothing. All of it, crystal clear, time-stamped, backed up to the cloud. For the first time in 10 years, I smiled. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, watching the footage on loop. The image quality was better than I'd hoped. HD video capturing every detail. Kurt's face twisted in rage, his fist connecting with my cheek. My mother's cold, detached expression as she scrubbed that same damn plate. The audio was even better. Every word, every threat, every slur. "You're nothing, Ava, a leech, a parasite." Evidence. Undeniable, time-stamped, cloud-backed evidence. I could go to the police, file charges, finally escape this nightmare with proof that I wasn't crazy, wasn't oversensitive, wasn't imagining things. My finger hovered over the download full file button, and then I noticed something. A second file, dated 3 days earlier, timestamp 2:34 a.m.
I didn't remember the camera capturing anything at that hour. I'd been asleep. The car was parked in the driveway like always. Curious, I clicked it. The video opened on darkness, just the dim glow of the porch light illuminating the driveway. Nothing happening. Maybe a technical glitch? I was about to close it when I heard voices. Kurt's truck pulled into frame. He got out, phone pressed to his ear, pacing in front of my car. "Telling you, it's done. Warehouse burns, we collect the insurance, split it 3 ways like we agreed." My blood turned to ice. "What do you mean, complications? I torched it myself, used the accelerant exactly like you told me. Place went up like a matchstick." I turned the volume up, hands shaking. "Listen, Jerry, I don't care about the investigation. They've got nothing. No witnesses, no cameras in that part of town. And even if they did, the fire destroyed everything. We're golden." He laughed, actually laughed. Yeah, Mason's kept his mouth shut, gave him 15 grand to disappear for a while. He's halfway to Montana by now. Mason. The name hit me like a freight train. Mason Carver, my father's business partner. The man who'd vanished 6 months after my dad died, leaving behind a failed business and hundreds of thousands in debt. Insurance payout should clear in 2 weeks. Then we're looking at $340,000 split 3 ways. Not bad for a night's work. My vision blurred. The warehouse fire. The one that had been all over the news 8 months ago. The one that destroyed Riverside Manufacturing and left 114 people without jobs right before the holidays. Kurt did that. Kurt bragged about doing that. "Look, I gotta go. Wife's gonna wonder where I am. Yeah, we'll celebrate once the money clears. I'm thinking of buying an RV, taking the old lady on a trip, maybe finally get some peace and quiet from the stepdaughter situation." Stepdaughter situation, like I was a problem to be solved, an obstacle in his path. He hung up, stood there for a moment, staring up at the house, and then he smiled, this satisfied, smug, evil smile, and walked inside. The video ended. I sat frozen in my car, breath coming in short gasps. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was fraud, arson, conspiracy. People lost their jobs, their livelihoods, their hope, all so Kurt could pocket insurance money and buy a fucking RV. And my mother, did she know? Was she complicit? The question burned worse than the bruises on my face. I had 2 videos now, 2 weapons, 2 paths forward. Turn him in to the police and watch him destroy evidence, hire lawyers, drag it out for years. Or I pulled up my social media. 2,700 followers, mostly old high school classmates, co-workers, people from town. 1 click. That's all it would take.
I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in my car watching both videos on loop, brain churning through every possible scenario. Option 1, go to the police. File assault charges. Present the arson confession. Let the justice system handle it. But I'd watched enough true crime documentaries to know how this ends. Kurt would lawyer up, the evidence would get tied up in procedural red tape, his construction company would suddenly have business records that contradicted everything. Mason Carver was already gone, probably paid off or threatened into silence, and even if charges stuck, we're talking months or years of court battles. Meanwhile, I'd be homeless, blacklisted, alone. My mother would never forgive me, the family would fracture, and Kurt, he'd probably make bail and come after me with everything he had. Option 2, stay silent. Sign the papers, swallow the rage, keep surviving like I had for 10 years. Protect the fragile peace, and hope that someday, somehow, I'd escape on my own terms. But that video of him confessing to arson, that wasn't about me. That was about 114 people who lost their jobs, families who lost their income right before Christmas, a community that was still reeling from the loss. Staying silent made me complicit. Option 3, the nuclear option. Post everything publicly. Let the internet do what the justice system couldn't. Swift, brutal, inescapable judgment.
No lawyers, no procedural delays, just raw truth broadcast to everyone who'd ever doubted me, dismissed me, or told me I was too sensitive. But that came with risks. Once it's out there, it's permanent. No taking it back. No controlling the narrative. And internet justice is a wildfire, unpredictable, destructive, consuming everything in its path. I stared at my phone screen, at the share button glowing in the darkness. My hands were still shaking. At 4:37 a.m., Jenna texted me again. "Seriously, are you okay? You're not usually up this late." I almost ignored it, almost gave her the same "I'm fine" brush off. Instead, I called her. "Ava? What the hell? It's 4 in the morning. Wait, are you crying?" I need advice. Okay, talk to me. What happened?" I told her everything. The loan papers, the beating, the videos, the choice I was facing. She listened without interrupting, which was vintage Jenna, IT professional to her core, processing information before reacting. When I finished, silence stretched between us. "Ava," she finally said, voice careful, "if you post those videos, you can't unring that bell. Your face is all over them. People will know. Your mother will know. And Kurt, Jesus, Kurt could come after you legally, physically, I don't even know." "I know. But if you don't post them, you have to live with yourself, with the knowledge that he got away with all of it, that those 114 people never got justice, that he'll keep hurting you until you either break completely or what? Or you disappear, like Mason." The words hung there, heavy and true. "What would you do?" I asked. Another long pause. "Honestly, I'd burn it all down, but I'm vindictive and I've been in therapy for years learning to manage my rage issues, so maybe don't take advice from me." Despite everything, I laughed. It came out broken and wet, but it was a laugh. "If you do this," Jenna continued, "you need to be smart. Don't just post and hope for the best. Be strategic, get ahead of his narrative, control the story." "How?" "Start writing. Tell your side. Make it impossible for people to defend him." I looked at the videos again, at Kurt's face, at my mother's silence, at my own blood on the living room floor. 2 days, I whispered. He gave me 2 days. Then you've got 48 hours to decide who you want to be. I spent the next day moving in silence. Called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. My supervisor didn't question it. I'd earned that trust. Then I got to work. First, make copies. Multiple copies. I downloaded both videos to 3 separate USB drives, uploaded them to 2 different cloud storage accounts under anonymous emails, and sent encrypted copies to Jenna with instructions. If anything happens to me, release these. Second, documentation. I photographed my injuries, wrote down every incident I could remember from the past 10 years, dates, details, witnesses when they existed, built a timeline. Third, research. I looked up the Riverside manufacturing fire, found news articles, insurance claims, victim statements, cross-referenced dates with Kurt's phone confession. 114 people, 57 families, jobs lost, lives upended. The community had raised $40,000 for the displaced workers, but it wasn't enough. Some had moved away. Others were still struggling to find work. And Kurt was planning to buy an RV with their suffering. By noon, I had a strategy, but I needed one more thing: courage. I drove to Dad's grave for the first time in 2 years, sat in the grass next to his headstone, ignoring the cold seeping through my jeans. "Hey, Dad," my voice cracked. "I'm sorry I haven't visited. Things got complicated." The wind rustled through the cemetery trees. "I need to tell you something about Kurt, about Mom, about what's been happening since you died." And I told him everything, every detail, every moment of abuse, manipulation, control. The words poured out like poison being lanced from a wound. I know what you'd say if you were here. You'd tell me to do the right thing, to stand up, to be brave. Tears streamed down my face, stinging the cuts and bruises. But I'm scared, Dad. I'm so fucking scared. If I do this, I lose everything. The house, Mom, the last shred of family I have left. But if I don't... I traced his name on the headstone. Michael Mercer, beloved husband and father. Those 114 people, they deserve to know. And I deserve to stop being afraid. The decision crystallized in that moment, clear and sharp and irreversible. I drove home. Kurt's truck was gone, probably at Jerry's, planning how to spend blood money. My mother was in the garden, deadheading roses. I stood on the porch, watching her, trying to find the woman who'd raised me, the one who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd stayed up late helping with science projects, who'd held me when Dad died and promised we'd survive this together. She looked up, saw my face, still swollen, bruised. "You look terrible," she said flatly. "Put some ice on that." Not, "I'm sorry," not, "Are you okay?" Just criticism. "Mom, I need to ask you something." She sighed, setting down her pruning shears. "If this is about the papers, did you know about the fire?" Her face went blank. Too blank. "What fire?" "Riverside Manufacturing, the warehouse, the insurance fraud?" A muscle twitched in her jaw. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Mom, please, did you know?" She picked up the shears again, turning back to her roses. "Kurt handles the business side of things. I don't ask questions." I don't ask questions. The motto of willful ignorance. People lost their jobs, families were destroyed, and he did it. He admitted it. "Ava," she didn't turn around. "Sometimes it's better to not know everything. Life is easier that way." Easier for who? I walked back inside, packed a bag, took everything that mattered. Dad's watch, old photo albums, my laptop, important documents. Loaded it all into my car. At 6:43 p.m., I sat down at my laptop, and I started writing the post that would change everything. The cursor blinked on the empty text box, mocking me, daring me. I'd rewritten the opening 17 times. Too emotional, too cold, too accusatory. Not enough evidence citations. Finally, I stopped overthinking and just wrote from the heart. My name is Ava Mercer. This is my story. 2 days ago, my stepfather beat me for refusing to co-sign predatory loans. My mother watched. I have video evidence of the assault. Time-stamped, cloud-backed, undeniable. But that's not why I'm posting this. While reviewing my Dashcam footage, I discovered something else. A recording from 3 days earlier. My stepfather, Kurt Halden, confessing on camera to committing arson. Specifically, burning down Riverside Manufacturing Warehouse for insurance money. 114 people lost their jobs in that fire. Families devastated, a community ripped apart, and he did it deliberately for profit. I've spent 10 years staying silent, being told I'm too sensitive, that I'm imagining things, that I brought this on myself. But I'm done being silent, and I think the 114 victims of that fire deserve to know the truth. Below, you'll find 2 videos. 1, Kurt Halden assaulting me. Content warning, violence. 2, Kurt Halden confessing to arson and insurance fraud. I'm not posting this for sympathy. I'm posting this because silence protects abusers, because justice delayed is justice denied. and because the people of this town deserve to know who's living among them. If you were affected by the Riverside fire, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it took this long for the truth to come out. I'm sorry you suffered while he planned to buy an RV with your pain. To those who told me to keep the peace and not make waves, this is me making waves. Big ones. My name is Ava Mercer. I'm done being a victim. I attached both videos, added relevant timestamps, included links to news articles about the fire for context. My finger hovered over post. This was it, the point of no return. I thought about my mother, about the family photos that would get taken down, about holidays that would never happen again, about the woman who'd raised me being forced to choose between her daughter and her husband. I thought about Kurt, about his rage, about what he'd do when he saw this. I thought about the 114 people, about their families, about justice being served, finally, after all this time. And I thought about me, about the woman I wanted to be, about living with myself if I stayed silent. At 11:47 p.m., exactly 24 hours after the beating, I clicked post. The upload bar crawled across the screen, 47%, 68%, 89%, posted. I sat back, heart hammering, waiting for something, anything. For 3 minutes, nothing happened. Then the first comment appeared. A former coworker from Riverside. Oh my God, I knew something was off about that fire. Thank you for this. Then another, and another. Within 10 minutes, 17 shares. Within 30 minutes, 143. Within an hour, the post had gone viral. News vans started circling at 1:22 a.m. I watched from my car, packed and ready to leave, as reporters knocked on the door. My mother answered, face pale, confused. Kurt's truck screeched into the driveway at 1:45 a.m. He'd seen it, clearly. His face was purple with rage as he stormed inside. I heard shouting, objects breaking, my mother crying. And I sat in my car watching the house that had been my prison for 10 years, and I felt free. My phone buzzed. Jenna, holy shit, you actually did it. Are you safe? Me. I'm leaving now. I'll call you when I'm clear. I started the engine, and I drove away without looking back.
The news cycle moves fast, but small-town scandals move faster. By sunrise, my post had 847 shares and 2,300 comments. Local news picked it up by 7 a.m., regional outlets by 9 a.m. By noon, I was getting interview requests from national media. I ignored them all. Instead, I drove 3 hours north to Jenna's apartment, where I'd sleep on her couch for the next 4 days, while the world I'd known imploded. The police launched an investigation within 12 hours. Kurt was brought in for questioning at 4 p.m. that first day. They held him for 6 hours before releasing him on bail, but the damage was done. The insurance company immediately froze the claim, launched their own investigation, found discrepancies in Kurt's statements, timeline inconsistencies, suspicious financial transfers. Mason Carver, the disappeared business partner, suddenly resurfaced. Turned out he'd been hiding in Montana exactly like Kurt said, living off the hush money. When the video went viral, Mason saw the writing on the wall and cut a deal. Full testimony in exchange for reduced charges. Jerry, the third conspirator, was arrested 2 days later. The dominoes fell fast and hard. But that wasn't the part that broke me. On day 3, my mother called. I stared at her name on my screen for 6 rings before answering. Hello? How could you? Her voice wasn't sad, wasn't hurt, just cold, angry, betrayed. How could I?
You destroyed this family, Ava. You destroyed everything. I laughed. Actually laughed. I destroyed it? Mom, did you watch the videos? I don't need to watch them. I know what happened. You pushed him. You always push him. And then you humiliate him, humiliate us publicly, put our private business on the internet for strangers to judge. He committed arson. He beat me. He made mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but you don't air your family's dirty laundry for the world to see. Those 114 people deserved to know. Those 114 people aren't my concern. You are, or at least you were. But you've made your choice, Ava. You chose strangers over family. The words hit like bullets. You watched him hit me, I said quietly. You stood there and watched, and you did nothing. You told me I brought it on myself. Silence. You're not my mother anymore. Not the mother who raised me anyway. That woman died the day you chose him over me. Don't you dare. I'm done, Mom. I'm done being small, done being quiet, done setting myself on fire to keep you warm. If you want to stand by him, fine, but don't expect me to drown with you. I hung up, and then I cried for 3 hours straight. Jenna held me while I sobbed, didn't say I told you so, didn't offer platitudes, just held me while I grieved the mother I'd lost, the family I'd never have, the life I'd burned to the ground. But here's the thing about burning things down. Sometimes you have to destroy the old foundation to build something new. On day 4, I received a message from a woman named Patricia Chen, former Riverside employee, single mother of 2, lost her job in the fire. Thank you. I can't afford much, but I started a GoFundMe to help you get back on your feet. You gave us answers when everyone else moved on. You deserve support too. She'd raised $4,800. By that evening, $23,000. By the next morning, $67,000. The community I'd helped heal was helping me heal in return. And for the first time in 10 years, I wasn't alone. 3 weeks later, Kurt Halden was formally charged with arson, insurance fraud, and conspiracy. The DA's office added assault and battery after reviewing my dashcam footage. Mason Carver's testimony sealed it. Jerry flipped too, giving up detailed records of the financial scheme. The insurance company not only denied the claim, but sued Kurt for the full amount plus damages. His construction business collapsed within days. Clients pulled contracts, employees quit, the bank foreclosed on his truck and equipment. Everything he'd built, with blood money and lies, crumbled. My mother filed for divorce 2 months later. I didn't hear about it from her. I read it in the court records, public information posted on the county website. She didn't call, didn't reach out, just erased me from her life like I'd never existed. I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. But pain and regret are different things. I felt pain, deep, aching, complicated grief for the relationship we'd never have. But I didn't regret what I'd done. The Riverside victims got justice. Kurt faced consequences. The truth came to light. And I survived. With the GoFundMe money, I rented a small apartment 40 miles away. Fresh start, new city, distance from the wreckage. I kept my job at North Star. My boss had been incredibly understanding and started therapy twice a week. Turns out, 10 years of abuse leaves marks you can't see. But I was learning to heal them. Jenna visited every weekend. We'd cook dinner, watch bad movies, talk about everything and nothing. She became the family I chose, the sister I'd never had. I even started dating. Nothing serious yet, but the fact that I could, that I felt safe enough, whole enough, was progress. On month 4, I received a letter. No return address, postmarked from 2 towns over. My heart stopped when I recognized the handwriting. Mom. I almost threw it away, almost burned it like she'd burned me. but curiosity won. Ava, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to respond, but I need to say this. You were right. I watched him hurt you and I did nothing. I told myself it wasn't that bad, that you were exaggerating, that keeping the peace was more important than protecting you. I was wrong, cowardly, complicit. I lost myself after your father died. I was drowning and Kurt threw me a rope. I didn't realize it was a noose until it was already around my neck and around yours. I chose him over you, over and over, because it was easier, because I was afraid, because I'd forgotten who I was without a man to lean on. You did what I should have done years ago. You stood up, you fought back, you refused to be silenced. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to do the same. I'm sorry I wasn't the mother you deserved. The divorce is almost final. I'm selling the house, starting therapy, trying to figure out who I am without him. It's terrifying, but you showed me it's possible. I don't expect you to let me back into your life, but if you ever want to talk, even just once, I'm here. I love you. I'm sorry I forgot how to show it. Mom. I read it 7 times, cried through most of them. I didn't respond. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I kept the letter, because forgiveness isn't a destination. It's a process, and some processes take time. For now, I was focusing on me, on healing, on building a life that wasn't defined by fear or silence or someone else's cruelty. I was 28 years old, and for the first time in a decade, I was free.
So here's what I learned from burning my life down and rebuilding it from ashes. Silence protects abusers. Truth destroys them. Was it messy? Absolutely. Did it cost me relationships, stability, and the illusion of family? Yes. Would I do it again? Without hesitation. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about standing up to abusers. It's not a movie. There's no triumphant soundtrack, no slow-motion victory moment. It's ugly and complicated and terrifying, but it's also freeing. Those 114 Riverside victims, several reached out personally to thank me. Some are still rebuilding their lives, but they have answers now. Closure. Justice. That matters. Kurt's trial is set for 6 months from now. The DA says it's a slam dunk. Video evidence, witness testimony, financial records. He'll likely serve serious time. My mother and I? Still no contact beyond that one letter. Maybe someday. Maybe never. I'm learning to be okay with not knowing. And me? I'm good. Really, genuinely good. I'm writing this from my apartment. Sun streaming through windows I chose. Coffee in a mug nobody criticized me for buying. Living a life where I'm not walking on eggshells or swallowing rage. If you're reading this and you're in a similar situation, trapped, silenced, told you're too sensitive, or imagining things, here's what I want you to know. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting, and you deserve better. Document everything. Build your evidence. Find your support system. And when you're ready, only when you're ready, burn it all down. Because sometimes the only way out is through the fire. I'm Ava Mercer, and this was how I took my life back. What's your story? Drop it in the comments. You're not alone.